An officer shot while trying to shut down a drug operation.
They know that this is the job that we've all signed up to do.
But police fired back. How he's doing now and what happened to the suspects he was trying to bust.
It is a big deal and very serious, and we certainly hope that the person who made the threat is found.
High security but low attendance. School leaders detail the threat that cleared JCPS classrooms.
In addition to the prospect for both rain and snow here this weekend, we're talking about some serious cold as we head into next week. The latest on our chances of accumulation and just how cold it will get coming up.
Thanks for joining us today. We're following two major stories in the WDRB newsroom. More than half of JCPS parents refuse to send their children to school today because of a vague, anonymous threat.
More on that in a moment. First, the new details on a Shively police officer shot this morning while trying to serve a warrant.
We begin our live team coverage with WDRB's Rachel Collier at University Hospital, where the police chief tells us how the injured officer is doing and how other officers are coping. Rachel?
Officer Wes Singleton is in stable condition here at University of Louisville Hospital, where he's even been able to speak with his police chief.
Adrenaline is up, and they know that one of their brothers have been injured badly, and they're trying to make sure that the ambulance gets to the hospital as quickly as possible and still protect everybody. So they clear the intersections to make sure that there aren't any accidents along the way, and they just want to make sure that he gets there okay and has a good chance of survival.
Roads shut off to rush Officer Wes Singleton to University of Louisville Hospital. Officers and some city officials dropping everything to get here.
Doesn't matter if it's a Shively officer, J-Town officer, LMPD officer, any of them. Everybody gets affected. This job is dangerous. We know it's dangerous, but that's what we do to protect other people.
Shively Police Chief Kevin Higdon is red-eyed after being with Officer Singleton and his family inside the hospital. The 31-year-old officer is married with one child.
Told him we're here, we're good. I hope you're going to be okay, and he's good.
Singleton is part of a special investigations unit serving a narcotics warrant Friday morning, a job involving 9 officers.
Our officers were executing a search warrant over off of Eden Lane. At some point, there was an exchange of gunfire. One of our officers was hit. He is in stable condition. I don't know anything about the condition of the other individual inside the home.
Higdon believes Singleton was shot 4 times.
That there was gunshot wounds in the lower section of his body, legs area. We don't know the extent of all that yet.
Singleton is in stable condition.
And they put their lives on the line every day to make sure that we're safe. And I think that we should always keep that in mind.
Officer Singleton has been with the Shively Police Department for 6 years. I'm told he has a brother who is an officer with LMPD. We're now heading out to WDRB's Chris Suter, who's in Shively at the scene where this all unfolded. Chris?
Rachel, 5 hours later, and the investigation continues here at the scene. Crime scene tape is still up. A handful of officers and detectives are still here as well. This started real close to the corner of Eden and Cottage Lanes in Shively around 11 this morning. As soon as the call went out, sirens could be heard around the city. Police were rushing to the scene. We now know the officer shot several times in the leg is 31-year-old Wes Singleton. He, along with other officers, were apparently serving a drug warrant before shots rang out. It resulted with Officer Singleton and a suspect at the hospital. That suspect also shot. 2 other people at the home were taken into custody. Police have not identified those people or why they were cuffed. Neighbors say this isn't the first time trouble has happened here.
There's a lot of suspicious activity that goes on over there. Cops are always coming in over there. The SWAT teams come in over there before.
We spoke with a man who says he is the brother of the injured suspect. That man tells WDRB his brother is awake and talking at the hospital. Another update for you tonight at 4:30. Until then, reporting live in Shively, I'm Chris Suter, WDRB News.
Thank you, Chris. There was a significant drop in attendance at Jefferson County Public Schools today after an anonymous threat.
WDRB's Stefan Johnson tells us what school officials and city leaders are doing to keep students and staff safe.
Good afternoon, guys. As we've been reporting, all Jefferson County Public Schools including this one, are on heightened alert today. School officials say that they want to assure parents that safety was and is a #1 priority. But despite all of that, a number of parents still kept their children at home today. The first JCPS school buses arrive in the darkness. Most are empty or half full. And as night turns to day,
yeah, every parent thinks about it. I'm going to think about it all day, I'm sure.
Elementary students arrive, some by bus, others accompanied by concerned parents.
We talked about it, and I guess we just felt like the best thing was to bring them in.
The concern and sparse attendance is the result of an anonymous threat called into Louisville Metro Police on Thursday.
The threat was vague. It didn't name specific schools or even what kind of school, even that it was a JCPS school.
JCPS Superintendent Dr. Donna Hargan says because of the threat, all schools were moved to level 3 on the security chart.
Safety is our #1 priority, and security is incredibly important, so we have to take everything seriously, and that's why we're at level 3.
But despite the increased security level, attendance is way down on Friday.
Unfortunately, it's 46.4%.
Right now, Metro Police are investigating the threat, and even if it's all just a hoax or practical joke, Dr. Hargens hopes the consequences won't be.
It is a big deal and very serious, and we certainly hope that the person who made the threat is found.
I feel like the school probably has his best interest at heart.
Parents who brought their children to school today have concerns, but feel confident they're in good hands with the heightened security level.
We have to trust what they're going to do and take extra security, and we felt good about that.
And Dr. Hargan says that extra level of security will extend through the after-school programs. Many of them end tonight at 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, coming up in our next half hour, education reporter Tony Kahns talks to us about that level 3 security, exactly what it means. We'll also find out about the plan for Monday. Live in West Louisville, I'm Stefan Johnson, WDRB News.
Thanks, Stefan. As we just heard, attendance very low at some JCPS schools today due to that threat. WDRB's Tamara Evans shows us just how empty some schools appeared this morning. Tamara?
Elizabeth, on social media, we were getting a look at gyms and cafeterias that are normally full on a regular school day. This photo from Stephanie, a parent, shows Westport Middle School this morning when the entire school apparently met in the gym. You can see how empty the bleachers are. And this photo, tweeted out by WDRB education reporter Tony Kahns, shows the cafeteria at PRP High School during first lunch period. There are more open seats than actual students. This last photo provided by Tony by a WDRB viewer shows students at DuPont Manual High School eating breakfast. Again, more open seating, but school officials say the numbers did go up during the day and they were among the highest attendance in the district today. If you have photos you would like to share with us, just head over to the WDRB Facebook and Twitter pages. Tamara Evans, WDRB News.
Following a round of showers earlier today, we're left with the clouds right now, but mainly dry, and the temperature is mild. It's 55 in Louisville, winds are south at 7 miles per hour. That southerly wind will continue to bring in the milder than average conditions over the next 24 hours. You can see no organized areas of precipitation out there, but we're still picking up on a few areas of sprinkle activity, a couple patchy areas of drizzle, and we'll continue with that light precipitation chance here this evening and overnight tonight. Storm system responsible for this morning's rain activity lifting quickly off towards the north and northeast and away from us. We begin to focus our attention on this guy. This is a strong low pressure system in the upper levels located over the southern Rockies. This ejects out of the Rockies tomorrow, and it will bring us the big changes that we are expecting here over the course of the weekend. Now for tonight, I think this evening most of the area dry, but again a couple sprinkles here or there, a little drizzle. Temperatures will be mild, slowly falling from the mid-50s to around 50 degrees here by 11 o'clock this evening. Now we will see that rain chance going back up by late tomorrow, and we're talking about not just rain, but yes, snow as we head on into your Sunday, the latest on if that will accumulate coming up.
All right, Jeremy, we'll check back with you soon. It's an effort to give new mothers more time to make a crucial, life-changing decision. WDRB's Lawrence Smith explains the proposed changes to Kentucky's Safe Haven law.
A bill filed by a Louisville lawmaker would extend the time that mothers could leave their unwanted children at places such as here at Cocere Children's Hospital. The Safe Haven law allows mothers to hand over unwanted newborns up to 3 days old at hospitals, police, fire, and EMS stations, no questions asked, as long as there is no sign of abuse. Representative Tom Birch's proposal would extend the age limit from 3 days to 30 days.
Sometimes a woman needs more time to think about these types of things, particularly a single mom. And so I just thought this was a better way to do it.
Since the law passed in 2002, 37 newborns have been left at Safe Haven locations, such as Kosair Children's Hospital. Child advocate Erica Jane says most surrounding states already allow for older children. Indiana up to 45 days, and Missouri up to a year.
Once that baby gets here, things change so dramatically within that mom's body that there has to be more time to make such a life-changing decision.
There is also a proposal to add churches to the Safe Haven program. Birch says that does present a challenge.
Churches are not open every day, and they're not open at nighttime, and only a few of them have daycare.
But Birch believes a compromise can be worked out. Jane says if the program expands to churches, she wants to make sure staff members are properly trained.
But you can't just drop the baby off. You have to hand the baby to a person. And then that person's requirement is to get that baby to the emergency room to be checked out.
The bill would still allow mothers to change their minds within 30 days of leaving the child and seek to have parental rights restored. The House Health and Welfare Committee could vote on the bill as early as next week. In downtown Louisville, Lawrence Smith, WDRB News.
The $800 million Powerball jackpot, get this, could actually climb even higher.
We very likely could be staring down the barrel of $1 billion jackpot.
How much the one-time payout could earn you if you can beat the odds.
Choices are everywhere, and we're always being told what to eat, what not to eat. Now, new guidelines are out. We're making it easy for you to understand what to look for when grocery shopping.
Want more news? Anytime, anywhere, any device. WDRB News.
The biggest lottery jackpot in American history just got even bigger.
And today we're showing you the rush in Louisville to find that winning ticket.
$80 the Powerball. Oh, don't forget to give me the winning numbers.
It's the hottest ticket in town. Saturday's Powerball.
I got 10.
$800 million.
I have the lucky numbers. Yay!
At convenience stores throughout the Commonwealth, you'll find big lines and big dreams over the big jackpot.
I want a brand new home, brand new truck, car.
We're going to Vegas first. No spouses.
I think I would donate to charity best I could.
Get ready, everybody. This is Powerball.
With no winner in the last 17 attempts, if you're that lucky person come Saturday, the one-time payout is a cool $500 million check, pre-tax. But once again, no one scores all 5 numbers in the Powerball.
We very likely could be staring down the barrel of $1 billion jackpot.
Thank you. As the jackpot rises, more people come to play.
I need 28.
Some for the very first time.
Pay off all my bills and I don't know.
Hoping on that off chance that it might be their lucky day.
If you have that eureka moment come Saturday night and your ticket matches the numbers drawn for Powerball, 2 things we advise you do immediately. First, flip that ticket over on the back and sign your name on the back of it. And the second thing we encourage you to do is to stay quiet about it.
Reality check. The odds of winning are beyond slim to none. Powerball's played in 47 states.
I want to win.
But as Frank Branch is quick to remind, eventually, someone has to be the one in 300 million to 1.
If I don't play, I can't win.
Fun fact for you here. Right now in Kentucky, about 1,500 Powerball tickets are being sold every minute. That means in the time that it's taken to do this story, 3,000 more of these little things have been sold.
That puts it in perspective. A popular breakfast spot, Wild Eggs, gets ready to serve up a new location. A Jeffersonville restaurant will open this spring. It will be in the Jeffersonville Town Center on Veterans Parkway. The restaurant will be owned by a new franchisee, Hamburger and Eggs. It will be the first of a few new locations planned in the Louisville area. The first Wild Eggs opened in Louisville in 2007. There are now 8 locations in Kentucky and Colorado. National Baseball Hall of Fame 2016 inductees Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza get things started on Wall Street. It's another down day and a week suffering huge losses, the worst week on the street since August. The Dow falls another 167 points to end the day at 16,346. It's lost 1,077 for the week. The Nasdaq drops nearly 46, closing at 46.43. And that's today's business news.
I was super pumped for Griffey in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's my favorite baseball player growing up.
Really? Didn't know that.
Not as excited
Didn't know
about
that,
the weather.
Gilbert.
You know, I'm from Seattle.
Yeah.
It's like Seattle's favorite
that's
son.
True.
It's like royalty
That's
there.
true. Of course, I became a huge fan once he came to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But,
Yes, like-minded.
We're all
Absolutely,
I understand.
absolutely. We're covered with clouds right now. We're going to be covered by rain, it looks like, here by late tomorrow. Still some rain out there now, but it's very light in nature. Overcast skies across Kentucky and currently. Your temperatures at 55 degrees. Winds are out of the south at 7 miles per hour. That's going to bring in the warm air, at least temporarily, over the next 24 hours. You can see that warm tongue extending to our south right now, where it's 58 degrees in Chicago. It's 60 in Birmingham. Eventually, though, this is the direction our air mass will be coming from. And look at these frigid conditions across the northern plains, with temperatures actually in the single digits right now for Bismarck, also for Fargo. And we're going to have to contend with some of that brutally cold air as we head into the start of the work week. Right now, we've got just some very light areas of precipitation out there, a couple sprinkles, a couple areas of drizzle. Organized precip from earlier has moved off to our north and northeast. This area of low pressure approaching Chicago. That's going to move away from us. In the meantime, it's going to remain mild until this guy arrives. Big swirl across the desert southwest. That area of upper low pressure, it's a real powerhouse. It's going to move in our direction as well. Over the next 24 hours, it's going to bring up another slug of Gulf moisture. That's going to spell rain on the front side of this storm. And then behind it, we'll see that transition over to what looks like pretty widespread snow shower activity across Kentuckiana. This evening, overnight tonight, anything that falls will be very light. Few areas of drizzle. Notice those temperatures, though, very steady. Upper 40s, low 50s out the door tomorrow. We start off dry tomorrow and then begin to moisten up late afternoon. Now, advanced track, it shows us a little scattered in nature. I think this first slug will be a little bit more widespread, but it will be heavy here tomorrow evening. Notice those temperatures still in the low 50s through the evening hours, and still 5 a.m. Sunday morning, we're at 46 degrees. Not bad, right? But look how quickly that temperature drops in the morning. Advanced track shows just hints of the snow. I think this will be fairly widespread. Snow shower activity. We're not talking about major accumulations, but yes, we cannot rule accumulations out. Those temperatures continue to nosedive as we go throughout the afternoon and evening hours here on Sunday. Here's a look at your forecast tonight. Remaining mild, 48. A chance of a shower across the area. It's going to be light in nature. And then you see those temperatures tomorrow, very mild, 58 degrees. And then they nosedive into Sunday with snow showers likely in the morning, blustery conditions. And look at that low temperature come Monday, 15 degrees. Believe it or not, that's not the coldest temperature we have on the 7-day. We'll be discussing how long the cold will stick around and how much we could see snowfall-wise coming up. Mike?
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Let's take a look at this traffic getting into the junction from the east side. And traffic so far this afternoon for a Friday with a little bit of rain in the area with the wet streets. We've had traffic moving pretty well here on 71 and 64. A little slow spot there eastbound 64 out in front of Slugger Field and Waterfront Park getting in through the junction. Haven't seen any backups at the Lincoln, Kennedy, the 2nd Street Bridge, or over at the Sherman-Mitten Bridge. Traffic's moving well there. Do have a little slow spot northbound 65 at the Waterson East ramp, and then the Waterson westbound has been a little slow as we're coming past Popper Level Road and then heading right over to the ramp. You take either 65 north or 65 southbound, and Dixie Highway is loaded up again this afternoon. For the Oxmoor Auto Group Traffic Center, I'm Mike Marshall with Beat the Traffic.
Mike, thank you. Eat this, don't eat that.
This time they're being a little bit more specific about how much sugar and how much fat is actually recommended.
New changes to what you should and should not put on your plate.
Captured after a shootout, how Mexican police were able to track down drug lord El Chapo months after he escaped from prison.
Eat less sugar, salt, and fat. New federal dietary guidelines have just been released.
WDRB's Rachel Collier explains what to look for on food labels for healthier choices.
The new guidelines emphasize that all food and drink choices matter.
Eat this, don't eat that. Every 5 years, new federal dietary guidelines come out, and the latest round has just been released. This go-round, health experts want people to focus on 3 main things: reducing sodium, sugar, and saturated fats.
This time they're being a little bit more specific about how much sugar and how much fat is actually recommended. So if you're taking a 2,000 calorie diet, we only want 10% of your calories coming from sugar or coming from fat.
Hope Pittman, a registered dietitian at the Norton Weight Management Center, says check the labels. Look for low sodium or no salt added. And for sugar, same thing. Go for reduced or no added sugar.
That's different from fruit sugars. So added sugar would be found in processed foods. White refined sugars that are added to foods.
Concerned about cholesterol? Health experts now say cholesterol's not the biggest thing you should be looking for on the can. Instead, look for the saturated fat levels, which can cause problems with your cholesterol.
Cholesterol is highly associated with saturated fat. So if we are reducing our saturated fat intake, then in return, we're also going to be reducing cholesterol.
Remember the food pyramid? That's been gone for several years. The visual aid nowadays is called MyPlate.
Basically, if you're looking at a plate and you divide that into 4 sections, so you would cut your plate in half, cut that in half again. So you've got 4 sections there. 2 of those sections, so half your plate, should be fruits and vegetables.
The other 2 sections should be filled with a lean protein like chicken or fish and a whole grain. The new guidelines also say, watch what's in your drink. For a closer look at how much of what you should be eating, head to WDRB.com. We have resources linked there for you. In the newsroom, Rachel Collier, WDRB News.
Empty classrooms and panicked parents.
We have to trust what they're going to do. And
the fallout from a threat made against Louisville schools.
A police officer shot multiple times in the leg here in Shively. What police think happened next.
Shots fired in a Shively neighborhood. A police officer rushed away in an ambulance with injuries. We have that story live from the hospital and the scene where it all started in just a minute.
But first, attendance was way down at JCPS schools after an anonymous threat.
WDRB's Stefan Johnson tells us about the plan in place to keep students and staff safe through the end of the day. Stefan?
Well, good afternoon, guys. That plan starts with all schools, including Coleridge Taylor behind me, on a level 3 security. On Thursday, an anonymous tip or threat was called into Louisville Metro Police. It did not specifically mention JCPS or any school for that matter, but as a result, public and private schools have increased security for the day. But despite the extra level of security, attendance is down more than 50%.
Anytime students aren't in school learning, that's disappointing to me because I know the impact that learning has, and we have a limited number of days to impact our students. So whenever we don't have high attendance, that concerns me.
And WDRB News education reporter Tony Kahns was one of the first to break this story. Tony, I understand you have some new numbers on the attendance at JCPS. What have you learned?
Right. JCPS just sent out the school-by-school numbers. They've actually adjusted their daily attendance rate to about 45.5% today. So just about a percentage lower than what they had indicated earlier. Some schools, such as Atherton High School, had really high percentages, 74%. And the lowest in the district was Slaughter Elementary School at 25%.
Right. And I know Coleridge Taylor behind us is one of the ones below 50%. I sent my son to school today. I know you have a child. Did your child go to school?
He did. He's at a JCPS middle school, and it's a decision that I think parents have to make individually, and I just felt comfortable. I do have several friends who felt that they just didn't have enough information to send their child today, and the district realizes that. Hargan said that during the press conference. It's up to each individual child's parent's decision.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tony Kahns. I appreciate you talking to us on all the work. Also, we want to mention that Dr. Hargens did say on Monday it will be back to business as usual. Reporting live in West Louisville with Tony Kahns, I'm Stefan Johnson, WDRB News.
Tony, Stefan, thank you. Streets shut down today as an officer who'd been shot was rushed to the hospital.
WDRB's Rachel Collier was at University Hospital where the officer is recovering.
Officer Wes Singleton is in stable condition here at University of Louisville Hospital. Officials say he was shot 4 times in the lower part of his body, including his legs. Singleton is 31, married with 1 child. He's been an officer with Shively Police for 6 years. He's part of a special investigations unit that was serving a drug warrant this morning in Shively off of Eden Lane when at some point there was an exchange of gunfire. Singleton was hit 4 times and another person inside the home was shot. It's been a heavy day for law enforcement. Many of them dropped everything to get to the hospital and show support.
A lot of emotion. You know, anybody that wears this uniform knows that this job is difficult. And any time that you know that an officer has been shot or wounded, it touches you at the heart. It does. It doesn't matter if it's a Shively officer, J-Town officer, LMPD officer, any of them. Everybody gets affected. This job is dangerous. We know it's dangerous, but that's what we do to protect other people.
Shively Police Chief Kevin Higdon was able to speak with his officer inside of the hospital and give him some words of encouragement. He says that Singleton is doing okay. We're now heading out to Shively at the scene where WDRB's Chris Suter has been, where this scene unfolded earlier today. Chris?
Rachel, it really has been quite the day for police officers all around the metro. A massive response here at the scene once that call went out today that said one of their own had been shot. It happened this morning around 11 at Eden and Cottage Lanes in Shively. Police say Shively officer Wes Singleton was one of several policemen serving a drug warrant. When police got close, shots rang out. Officer Singleton was shot several times in the leg. Police say a suspect was also shot. 2 others allegedly inside the home were taken into custody. Neighbors ended up witnessing a lot of what happened. They say the home that's now a crime scene has been the source of a lot of trouble in the past. LMPD Sergeant Phil Russell is focused on both of the injured.
Our hearts and prayer go out to him and his family and for full recovery. You know, as far as the bad guys, same thing. We don't want to see any loss of life.
No suspect names or possible charges have been released. We did talk to a man claiming to be the suspect's brother. He says the suspect is alert and talking at University Hospital. Emily Muir with another update tonight at 6 o'clock. Reporting live in Shively, I'm Chris Suter, WDRB News.
Chris, thank you. The 5th suspect in the shooting death of a Louisville toddler is now in Metro Corrections.
DeJuan Mason was arrested by U.S. Marshals in Nashville last month. Naraya Miller and her mother were shot on the front porch of their Shawnee neighborhood home in August of 2014. 1-year-old Naraya died. 4 others have already been arrested for this crime, and one of the suspects told investigators the shooting was in retaliation to another shooting. Mason is charged with murder, wanton endangerment, and attempted murder, among other charges. The man accused in a Valley Station murder went before a judge this morning. Police arrested 20-year-old Austin Patton yesterday, saying he killed 38-year-old Mark Morgan after an argument at the Ottoman Lake Mobile Home Park. We're told Patton tried to sell the gun after Wednesday's shooting to get rid of the evidence. A not guilty plea was entered for him on all charges.
Plans for a biodigester in West Louisville are canceled. Star Bioenergy and Heaven Hill Brands say they will no longer pursue the site at 17th and Maple Streets. Neighbors had been highly critical of plans for the methane plant, some worried about it being built so close to homes. Carolyn Farrell lives across the street from the site and says she was prepared to move.
This is something they should have thought about, you know, like moving it out somewhere further and not, you know, where there's still homes and things here.
The companies maintain that biodigesters are safe. They say they are looking at other locations in the county and region. A Louisville judge owes hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes. IRS lien notices filed in Louisville show Judge Olu Stevens and his wife owe more than $582,000 in unpaid income taxes. The IRS liens don't indicate whether they have settled. Olu Stevens is the judge who dismissed a jury panel last year because it wasn't racially diverse, and he criticized Louisville's top prosecutor on social media when he challenged the judge's authority. WDRB's Jason Riley goes in depth about why the liens may violate the Judicial Code of Conduct right now on WDRB.com.
A push today to see fewer kids starting school behind. JCPS will use $1 million to expand kindergarten readiness summer camps to 1,200 children this summer. Last year, testing showed less than half of the kids in Jefferson County were ready for kindergarten.
I feel like it's
important to have programs like this for the children because the children are our future. You know, these children are going to be our nurses, our doctors, our mayors, our lawyers, our presidents. So it's important for them to, to learn.
The CE&S Foundation and the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation are helping to fund this expansion. The public gets its first look inside the newly renovated Falls of the Ohio Interpretive Center this afternoon. It opened at 1 o'clock. The renovations cost about $6 million as crews spent the past year gutting the outdated facility and replacing the 20-year-old exhibits with high-tech interactive displays. The next big project for the museum is to replace the 20-year-old orientation film. Organizers will start raising money for that soon.
A Philadelphia police officer shot. Why? The suspect says he did it. 2 terror suspects arrested hundreds of miles apart in the U.S. What police say led them to believe the pair is connected.
We're looking at rain and snow arriving over the weekend, the latest in that chance of accumulations, and we're going to talk about some serious cold coming our way. Your full forecast is coming up next.
A man says he shot a Philadelphia police officer in the name of Islam.
Police say Officer Jesse Hartnett was ambushed by Edward Archer while sitting in his cruiser last night. Hartnett was shot 3 times in the arm with a stolen police gun. Officials say Hartnett was able to return fire, hitting Archer at least 3 times. The officer is in stable condition. Archer's condition isn't known. Investigators say the suspect told them he pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. 2 terror suspects are arrested hundreds of miles apart in the U.S. Jeremy Roth reports there's word the 2 suspects are connected.
2 men, one in Texas, the other in California, are accused of terror-related crimes. Now, a law enforcement official tells CNN the 2 communicated with each other. Federal agents arrested 24-year-old Omar Faraj Saeed al-Hardin in Houston Thursday. The Justice Department says he entered the United States as an Iraqi refugee in 2009 and was granted legal permanent residence status 3 years later. He's accused of trying to support ISIS and making false statements to become a U.S. citizen. On his application, he allegedly denied any connection to terror organizations. The Justice Department says he has associated with members of ISIS and ISIS sympathizers. In Sacramento, federal agents arrested 23-year-old Oz Mohammed Yunus Al-Jayab. He's facing charges of making false statements involving international terrorism. After coming to America as a refugee in 2012, he traveled overseas again and allegedly claimed he went to Syria to fight with a terror group, then returned. While there's no evidence Al-Jayab was planning an attack, just lying about a terror connection is a federal crime.
We're accusing somebody of some extraordinary misconduct, so it has to be only done after an enormous amount of evidence has been collected.
The 2 cases come as many Americans worry terrorists could enter the United States posing as refugees from war-torn nations.
It's never enough. Unless you have a note from your dictator or you have absolute intelligence of where the person traveled, this is an extraordinary snapshot of what we're facing now.
I'm Jeremy Roth, reporting.
A Mexican drug lord on the run for months after escaping from prison was recaptured in a shootout that left 5 people dead. The Mexican Navy raided Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's home early this morning. The troops were fired on from people inside. Besides those killed, 1 Mexican Marine was injured and 6 people arrested. Marines seized 2 armored vehicles, rifles, and a grenade launcher in the raid. President Barack Obama vetoes legislation repealing his signature health care law. It's just one of many repeal measures pushed by Republicans since 2010 when the Affordable Care Act was signed. But this was the first time the bill cleared both houses of Congress and made it to President Obama's desk. The legislation would have also cut federal funding to Planned Parenthood.
Jeremy Capple's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
You know, I heard a lot of complaints back in December that it was simply too warm for this time of the year and they wanted some winter weather. Well, guess what? Looks like over the next few weeks, you're going to get your wish. Winter definitely making a return across the area. Not yet, though, and not now. It's still mild outside. We did top out in the mid-50s this afternoon. We continue with a warm temperature of 55 right now at the Louisville International Airport. Winds are south at 7 miles per hour. That southerly wind will continue to bring in the warmth. Over the next 24 hours or so, you can see warmth to our south, 57 Nashville. and actually low 60s as you make your way out towards northern Alabama. That warmth continues to come at us again in the near term, but in the long term, this is what we're looking at. Temperatures falling quickly across the plains. We've got some single digits on the map for the first time this year. Fargo at 6, Bismarck at 9. That's the air mass that's going to rush in our direction here by the end of the weekend. Here you go. We got the clouds. We got rid of the organized rain from earlier, but still a few sprinkles out there right now ahead of our big storm system that's going to arrive out there tomorrow. Just small rain chances overnight tonight into the day tomorrow. Anything that falls will be quite light. And then I think as we head towards late afternoon tomorrow into the evening, we'll see a slug of some pretty heavy precipitation making its way across Kentuckiana. Temperatures, though, still very mild here through the evening. And even late tomorrow night, look at Sunday, 5 a.m., 46 degrees. Not bad in Louisville, but look at that, 35 in Paoli at the same time. We'll see those temperatures crashing here Sunday morning. We fall through the 30s into the 20s. Now, Advanced Track is not making a big deal of the snow. I think snow showers, however, will be fairly widespread across Kentuckiana, especially for our friends across southern Indiana, where I think you're going to be dealing with some accumulations out of this deal. Not a huge deal here, but perhaps for most of us, the first measurable snow of the season. By far and large, the heaviest totals well to our west and north. St. Louis is going to get dumped on, perhaps locally up to a half foot of snow for Chicago as well. Here locally, most of the area no more than a dusting, but I think those areas along 64 to the north could have a quick little coating of snow, perhaps a half inch, perhaps locally up to an inch of snow for those rooftops, elevated surfaces, grassy areas. Not a huge deal. I think for our far northern counties, though, it could be a little bit more impressive, perhaps locally up to 2 inches of snow. That could create a few slick spots on those roadways as well. Again, this is for Sunday. For tonight, all liquid all the time, 48 degrees, just a few passing showers out there. Tomorrow's going to be a very mild day across the area. We'll see that high topping out right around 58 degrees. I think most of the day's dry, but late afternoon into the evening, we'll see the rain arriving. Rain could be heavy here tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Coming to an end to snow showers here Sunday morning, tapering off during the afternoon. Those temperatures plummet 32. Look at that low Monday morning. That's the air temperature. Wind chill values Monday morning will likely be well down into the single digits, and temperatures don't recover much next week. We're talking about mid-30s Monday. Another strong system here on Tuesday. Snow showers, not a big snowmaker, but that one too could bring some light accumulations, and it looks like we could have more busy weather by the end of the next week and more cold on the way as well, Mike.
All right, 15 degrees on Monday. I'm already trying to figure out how not to come to work. All right, let's take a look. Dixie Highway in the area of the Waterston. Waterston westbound, we have one crash working right at Dixie Highway. The Shawnee's been moving very well for us around Bells Lane, Virginia, Dumanel. No problem so far coming past Bank Street, making that merger onto I-64. Everything has been moving very well in New Albany on 64, 265, 150. We don't see a whole lot of delay coming down southbound 65 until we get into Jeffersonville. Then we see a little bit of a traffic delay there just before the Kennedy Bridge, and traffic's been moving pretty well for us on the Lincoln this afternoon. Here's a good look at 71. Hardly any problems between Zorn Avenue and all the way out to the Gene Snyder. 64 has been moving well between the Waterston, Hurstbourne. No problems out near Blankenbaker or the Snyder ramps. And then we have still the Waterston westbound, a little on the heavy side, Poplar Level Road over to those ramps at 65 north or southbound. From the Oxmoor Auto Group Traffic Center, I'm Mike Marshall with Beat the Traffic.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. Tom Lane in now with sports. A good league start for U of L.
Cardinals had some shaky moments late in the game last night, but came away with a win. We'll have the post-game wrap-up from NC State next in sports. U of L travels to Clemson for a meeting with the Tigers Sunday. The Cardinals passed their opening league road test with a 5-point win at North Carolina State last night. John Lewis and Eric Crawford were there to take it in.
Well, after the Kentucky game, Eric, you and Rick talked about needing to see some more from the 502 boys. Well, on Thursday night, it seems like the Louisville Cardinals did that. In fact, Quentin Snyder leading the way with 21 points. Ray Spalding had 12 points. Just a good all-around effort, and Rick Pitino went deep to the bench.
Well, he did. He had to. They had 3 guys with 2 fouls very quickly. They had 5 guys with 3 fouls early in the second half. Snyder scored 21 points. He was 7-11 from the field, made 4 of 6 3-pointers. He was feeling it offensively. We didn't have a huge assist night, didn't grab a rebound, but they needed that offense. And he talked about that after the game. He felt like somebody needed to step up.
I felt relaxed, just coming out there, just try to let the game come to me. That's what I tried to do tonight. So that's what I did. I hit that 3 in the second half. I got that feel for the game, and I didn't really rush none of that.
Like Quentin Snyder came off the bench tonight and played great. Played great, and that's something we wanted to bring him off the bench and get Trey some experience there. But we had to play Donovan because Donovan's given us rebounding. Q was brilliant tonight, don't get me wrong, but he just doesn't rebound the basketball. He had 0 in 32 minutes.
We knew that, he would have an advantage, somewhere out there on the court, and especially with them only playing 7 guys, 7 or 8 guys. So definitely, Q would be able to take advantage of that.
They're at Clemson. The night before Clemson is in the national championship football game. I don't know what kind of atmosphere is going to be for that one.
Could be a home crowd maybe for the Louisville Cardinals. That's the story from Raleigh, where the Louisville Cardinals moved to 2-0 in the ACC. Reporting from Raleigh, he's Eric Crawford. I'm John Lewis for WDRB Sports.
And coming up at 6, we'll hear from John Calipari as the Cats get ready for a meeting with Alabama tomorrow.
All right, Tom, we'll see you then.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. And a drastic approach to having a baby. The close relative who served as a surrogate for one Texas couple, and how it all started off as a joke.
As we had to break, the Mega Millions jackpot for today is at $165 million, but everybody's attention's on the Powerball, right? $800 million.
So just who went to school today and who didn't? At 6, we'll tell you which JCPS schools had the highest and lowest attendance after that threat. Also, the latest on the condition of the Shively police officer shot today, and new information about the suspect is tonight at 6.
All right, David, we'll see you then. A grandmother in Texas gives birth to her granddaughter.
Kelly McKissick and her husband have been trying for years to have a baby. After several failed attempts, McKissick took a drastic approach. She asked her 54-year-old mother if she would carry the baby for her. Ironically, this is something McKissick jokingly asked her mom when she was a teenager.
She said, "If I can't carry my own baby, would you carry it for me?" And of course I would, not dreaming that I would actually be doing it.
The grandmother delivered the baby via C-section. The baby, named Kelsey, weighed 6 pounds and 11 ounces.
Did you see the announcement picture there? Their bun, my oven. How funny is that?
Very clever. It all worked out well, too. Good to see.
Gonna get cold, chances for some flakes, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's mild now. We got about another 36 hours of mild weather. Rain returns late tomorrow. Yes, as you mentioned, Gil, it's going to turn much colder and snowier. Full update at 6.
Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Good night.
Is that what I want? Yes. If that's what you want me to believe happened, I'm telling you, I don't believe that. It doesn't ring true.